Well, it looks like it's just the three of us. Not to worry. These things happen. Seems to have some serious amount of lag. Oh, there we go. So, good evening everyone. This is clearly going to be a very short stream then, seeing as there's just me, Thomas and Derek. But hey ho, it is what it is. I see you've got yourself a Razor, Derek. Very, very good. Congratulations. Yeah, very, very good cameras. Very good cameras. So, have I got audio? Is the question. Am I actually putting anything out? Good evening, Michael. Like I say, I wasn't aware of the fact that Tim was going to be doing his stream this evening as well at exactly the same time, so I don't expect we're going to be particularly busy. I don't expect to be on for a massive amount of time. Thank you, Stephen. Much appreciated. I seem to have a cable in my way. Not a lot I can do about that. Sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I've got headphones on tonight. The idea was I was going to try and set up the Discord so you could have actually come on and had a chat with me on air through Discord, which would have been nice. But I'm such a noob, I'm unable to set it up. So when we finish our stream, if Tim's still going, I might jump onto his Discord and cause a riot in there. So yeah, good evening. Christmas is coming. The goose is getting fat, or so they say. Andrew, you're not late at all, mate. I've just seen that Tim's going to be streaming at the same time, so this won't last long. But I just wanted to have a drink with everybody. Cheers, everyone. Nice bit of port. Can't beat a bit of port at Christmas. Yes, just wanted really to talk a little bit about the last year. I wanted really to discuss with you guys about what you thought were the high points of this last sort of 12 months in the 3D printing industry, and then discuss a little about what we were thinking for next year. What would be happening, what we are doing, anything plans that any of you guys have got, any projects that you've got in your mind. This year for me, 3D printing wise, has been a bit up and down. Beginning of the year was brilliant. Had lots of free time on my hands. Had a fair bit of disposable income. Had lots of filament. Had lots of printers. Stuff was going really well. And then one or two things happened, and sort of the videos dried up, as I'm sure you're aware. Things sort of went a bit by the by because I had more important things to deal with. That cable's going to annoy me. I'm sorry, that thing. But we'll swap cameras soon. But I'm getting back into it now. Things have moved on. Got rid of a load of machines. Gave a load of machines away because basically I was just getting bogged down with printers that I wasn't using. So all my G-Tech machines went. 2 Ender 3s went. Got rid of a load of BQ Deltas that I've been given. Got all those shipped out, and just sort of pared things down a little, made things a little sort of more streamlined. So like at the moment I have got I haven't got as many machines. I'm down to 2, 4, 7, I think, something like that. My Ender 3 Pro has decided to die a death. The mainboard's gone, so I have on the way a new board for it, which is coming to me second hand, but I'm assured it's only been taken out the wrapper and that's it. So it's going to be in a good sort of order. It's a drop-in board. It's SKR V1.2. I think it's either a 1.2 or a 1.3, but it's and it's been shipped already. It's on its way to me. It's cost me, I think, 25 quid. It's on its way to me. There's a few. Oh my goodness, that was loud. There's a few other little bits and pieces which are coming with it, which is nice. Gosh, I'm going to have to turn that on. There we go. There's Tim going live. So that's when everybody disappears now. So yeah, so the Ender 3 Pro is sat up here with its guts hanging out at the moment. I was going to put one of my Hemiras on it, and then I realised there was a problem with the board, and it was actually the driver for the extruder was misbehaving before I even took the original Creality extruder off it, and it appears that extruder is undervolting and will not turn up. So it sounds like the board's knackered. So board's coming out, new board going in. So that's something for the new year. When the bits turn up, the two artillery machines are working like a boss. The new bed for the Sidewinder turned up on Friday, which took no fitting at all, and it's beautiful and it's printing beautifully and everything's just nice. Oh, now I'm getting messages left, right and centre. Excuse me. Another drink. So this year is ending on a bit of a strange note. Which reminds me, a delivery today, last delivery from the postman today. Got this off Amazon from everyone. They were suggesting that this was their latest and greatest, so just pull this out of here. It is a Galaxy Red Glitter. You can't really see that. Let's just try swapping cameras, shall we? Let's just whack onto that one, and you still can't see it. Tell you what, Derek, I'll turn the light on. You still really can't see it, but it's a really nice glittery dark red. Quite what it's going to print like, I do not know. But it's really nice looking roller filament. Just go back to me, go back to me, go back to me. There we go, back to me. So I'm going to be playing with that over Christmas. I would have liked to have got it a bit earlier because I was thinking Christmas decorations in sort of glittery red would have been nice, but unfortunately it didn't happen. The Sidewinder with the Hemira is printing like a boss. I spoke to Tom Filament Frenzy. He very, very kindly talked to me through the settings that he'd done with his on the Sidewinder, just changing a few little bits and pieces, just little tiny tweaks. But it's printing really, really nicely. I've stuck some TPU through it. I don't know whether you've seen it before. I have a roll of sort of nondescript purple TPU, which is really rather flexible. I printed a vase with the original setup on the Sidewinder in it, and it came out beautifully. So I did that again just to see how it worked out with the new hot end on it, the new Hemira on it, and it prints the same quality, but you can print. I was probably going about 30% faster, and it was still printing very well. I mean, that's kind of what I'm taking away from this new hot end setup, is that I already had the quality, but this just gives you a bit more speed, and the consistency seems to be a bit better. The consistency in the layer lines just seems to be really, really accurate, and I think that's probably because of the way it's engineered. I mean, until you actually physically hold one in your hand, it's difficult to understand really how nicely put together those things are, how over-engineered they are. They're just a real nice thing. Let's go back to me, shall we, so you can actually see me rather than just looking at a bottle of port. So yeah, it's a really good piece of kit, and it's printing really, really well. I do have another one. I bought one that I was going to do as a direct drive and one I was going to do as a Bowden. But I've actually bought the stuff now so I can have them both as direct drive or both as Bowden, so I can swap them from machine to machine. I've printed all the parts to put it on the Ender 3 Pro, but I haven't done it yet because the main board's gone out. I was wondering whether I might put it on the little Genius, but basically the Genius is just a shrunk down version of the Sidewinder, with a few improvements in build construction, so not really a lot of point. It will be interesting to see what it does on the Ender 3 Pro, especially since I'm going to go to a 32-bit board on it, so that will be good. But the interesting news is, the real reason why I wanted to come on, apart from just have a nice chat with you guys, but like I say, unfortunately we can't discuss much now because I'm an idiot, is I've got a new project for next year, on top of everything else. It's a bit different. God, I'm sorry if that's going through your ears as much as it's going through mine. I do apologise for that. I might just try and change the audio a little because I'm sure that's really doing everybody's head in. Let's go to... Right, hopefully you can still hear me. But hopefully that's also cut out all the background noise because it's now just coming through my mic. Yeah. The thing for 2020, I have a new thing to do. This is where you saw it first, guys. All 7 of you. Oh, there's a box down here, which I'm going to have to pick up like that. You can't really see it. If I put it on the overhead cam, it might give you a bit of a clue what I've got. Just bear with me. Well, let's just go at that. Now, from that picture, can anybody tell me... Oh, hang on, I haven't transitioned it. That's a bit stupid. There we go. From that picture, can anybody tell me what's in the box? As you can see, it's incredibly dusty. As it has been sat for a while. It's done the rounds as this. Looks like an A8. Does it, Andrew? Well, you see, that's the thing. It is an A8, but it's not just any A8. Many of you who have followed me for a long time know that I started with an A8. It was the first printer I got. Hello again. It was the first printer I got a long time ago. Did a load of mods on it. I got Pete Skoo, who has Skynet 3D on eBay, selling parts for Ender 3s and stuff. That's how I met him. That's also how I met Tim Hoogland, through the building of the ANET and all the bits and pieces that went with it, because it was their first machines as well, and we all sort of started out together. And you know, the building of the Skynet firmware and all that sort of stuff. So we all had ANET A8s. I gave my ANET away the minute I got my CR10. Didn't take long, and then I got a Prusa, so I certainly didn't need it at that point, but I already got rid of it. It went round a few people had it, used it, got into 3D printing with it, and I got a phone call yesterday morning from somebody saying, "Oh, I've got something that used to belong to you. Yeah. Would you like it back?" So in this box here, which I haven't actually delved into too deeply, is my original ANET A8 that I got as my first 3D printer. And this is it. This is the actual machine. So this is my first ANET sat in here. So it was kind of like, do you want it back? And I thought, well, do you know what? It might be quite interesting to have it back and just see what we can do with it. See if we can get it to work. more to the point. So I have a box of very, very dusty parts, basically. But I didn't want to get it out of the box without having a few people to have a laugh at it with me. So do you think we ought to get it out and have a look and see what an utter nightmare it has become? There's a few interesting things on it. There's a few non-standard. Was there anything ever standard on an A8? But there's certainly some non-standard stuff on here, which I put on a few weeks after having got it. But we'll tell you what we'll do. We'll just swap over to the overhead camera and we'll wob it out the box. And we'll take some close-ups at some of the things that make it just a little bit interesting and a little bit different. You don't want to see me crisps. We'll have those out of the way. So, easy way to take this out, I suppose, is if I lay it down on its side like that. Right, first thing to come out is the bed. Now, I believe one of the bearings is shot on this. Ooh, grindy, grindy. Grindy, 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 grindy. So we have an original Biltac surface there. I don't know whether you noticed. Let me just move that out of the way. Like that. So I can put that under there. That is an original Biltac surface. It says up there, look. Which was never meant to go on there. It's a Vertex one. As you can see, it's had some hammer. There's what looks to be a spool holder end. Somebody's printed on there. But apparently the guy said to me that the last thing that happened to it was when he took it apart, one of these rods fell out and a load of little balls fell out of one of the bearings. So clearly we have an issue with those. So that might be the first thing that needs addressing. But it's grindy. Grindy, grindy, grindy. So yeah, as you can see, it's also had some interesting alterations to some bed leveling screws on here. They're not quite standard, are they? They seem to be a little bit on the different side. Let's just see if I can zoom in a little. That's that one, isn't it? So let's pull that in like that. Right, so dropping frames. Yes, I'm not surprised it's dropping frames. So yeah, they've got some interesting tiny weeny little bed leveling screws on there. As clearly they were bigger at some point and they've shrunk somewhat. So yeah, we've got a bed of sorts. What else can I get out of here? We seem to have a gantry covered in wires. Oh my goodness, this is so yeah, we have a gantry. I'm just going to zoom out again now I've zoomed in so we can get a better overall look at this. So there we go, we'll do that and we'll come back down to here. So yeah, as you can see, the wiring is anybody that ever had one of these anybody that ever had one of these in the good old days will know that the wiring is interesting because it's all individual wires. There was no ribbon cables. There was no nothing like they have these days. Everything was individual wires, which means it makes for a bit of a spaghetti mess, to put it mildly. I can't even get that off there. That's hooked around there. That's the hot end fan. I wonder if that's still connected. No, it's separate. So yeah, it's a thing. So we've got two lead screws there, which are an interesting setup. Hot end appears to be still pretty much standard, fairly loose. They don't appear, in fairness to them, they don't appear to have done much to it. It all appears to be as it was pretty much when I gave it away. They've still got the original A-net stepper motors on them, so we know that's going to be noisy. We've actually got, oh dear, that's not good. We've actually got a mount on the end there. Let's go to the close-up camera for this so we can actually show some bits and pieces. So we've actually got a mount on the end there for a BL Touch, believe it or not. You see that there? So it's had a few alterations in its time by the look of it. Bearings on this. Ooh. Can you hear that? That's grindy. So then we've got a bit of hardware that's stuck out the bottom of the box. Got a few of the bolts. You see, this is bringing back some awful memories. Now, the important thing I wanted to show you on here. Good evening, Dom. Merry Christmas to you too, my friend. Let's pull this bit out. Oh my goodness, spiders and all sorts in the bottom of there. Right, let's get this stood up. This is going to take a bit of bringing back from the dead, isn't it? But we're going to do it. We've got to do it. My original A-net. It's got to be done. Little alteration added to it. Put these little foam pads on the bottom. Just trying to do something with the vibration that came off it. So yeah, we've got this this beautiful board here. Gorgeous board. Very much maligned and misunderstood is that board. Now, I don't know whether you noticed when I first showed it that it is slightly different from the normal. As you were all aware, A-nets were quite well known for having slight issues and catching fire. So a company who I believe he is a guy who does or used to do the boards for Pete at Skynet 3D mods. But this guy came up with a sort of like an alarm system for the A-net. So basically, I'll show you what it is. As long as I don't do any major damage with my cables now, which I probably am going to do. So you've got your main board here, okay, with all your cable work, which is all very interesting. I mean, that looks like telephone wire, which is stunning. So then you had your normal display, which is there with your push buttons, and then above it, there's this 3D printed. That 3D printed by me on this machine, I hasten to add, with a little turning knob there. Turn it back around. But this, basically, what this board did, it took a whole load of sensors. Okay, so you've got a temperature sensor for the bed, a temperature sensor for the hot end, a temperature sensor for the case. You had a gas sensor, which is here. This is a gas sensor. So basically this is a smoke detector, which you screwed onto the back of the frame like that with this smoke detector. And there is I seem to remember there's a beeper in here. It's like a piezo alarm, which is there, which would sound if it smelt smoke. Believe it or not. It also had, you can see there is that one says bed control. So what it actually did was it overrided the main memory board if it smelt smoke or it felt temperatures getting too high, or it felt the hot end getting too hot or anything like that. It would shut the board down. And that was basically all it was. It was designed to be a failsafe because the A-nets were awful, as time has told. So you've got a massive great heatsink on there, look. Fantastic piece of kit. And it was called the Smart Switch. And this is the Smart Switch version 1.01. And like I say, it was an addition, and basically what it did was it took the control of all the the hot end and the heat bed and everything else away from the main board, away from the version of the firmware that was on it, and it was a separate thing with its separate firmware that just sorted everything out itself. Now, as you can see, the wiring on it is a little bit rudimentary. That's your cabling in from your motherboard into there, and then you've got, that's your power supply in. That's good thick cable, is that? That's really thick cable, is that? And then you had, so that was your power in, and then you had your outputs out. So that output out there would have gone, you see, I'll show you this lot. Look at this for a quality setup. So that will have connected, I think that is the bed. I think that's what that is, and I seem to remember, I mean I could be wrong, but I seem to remember that the centre plug went on the two central pins of the bed, and then they went over the outside edge pins. I could be wrong, but I seem to remember it went something like those two that are the black went over those two on the minus, like that. So that's your two minus pins on your bed, go to those two, and then your two positives went on the red one, so that then went on there like that. This is just stunning stuff, isn't it? And then those two, which I believe are for the thermistor, you put that plug onto those two like that. But that thermistor, rather than going to the main board, went up to here. So if it then felt a problem or smoke or anything, it cut the power off. So it wasn't controlled by the ANET board at all, it was controlled independently by this. So you had those two that was for bed, and then these two that are up here, up at the top, they go down into there, they go round and they go into the board. So I'm wondering if they were the 12 volt in to switch the 12 volt out, if you know what I mean. But it was an interesting setup, and I don't know, I've never seen another one. I don't know how many of them there are about. I will need to, I might jump on Tim's stream and ask him about them. But yes, so you had all sorts of extra thermistors, which you had to stick all over the place with Kapton tape. So you had to stick an extra thermistor on the heat bed. So there's an extra one that sat underneath here. So you had an independent one from the one that went through the main board. And you had an extra thermistor that you sort of stuck somewhere around the hot end. Alright, cheers Derek, thanks very much for popping in. Like I say, it wasn't quite what I wanted this evening, but it was nice to see you here. Thanks for coming in, mate. Yeah, so you had a second thermistor that you stuck somewhere around here. In fact, I think it's there. Which then took a reading for a second reading for the nozzle. And then I say, like, you had a smoke detector up here, and then I think you had a thermistor that sat up here as well, which sensed if there was heat coming up. So yeah, it was an interesting piece of kit. So I fitted that, as you can see, not the best possible fitting in the world. Then we upgraded the power supply. The power supply was upgraded and is, oh my god, 30 amp 360 watt, that says. There's an outright running risks, is there? You know, it was bad enough with the original one in, but to stick that in, I must have been fairly mad. But it doesn't appear to be in too bad a condition, apart from the fact it's really rather dusty. I don't think it's going to take a massive amount to actually get it sort of running. I mean, there is the odd cable floating about and stuff. Oh, there's another cable. I mean, the thing is that my intellect has come on massively, so massively since then, that I might be able to work out what these things actually do now, whereas before I didn't have much of a clue. But that was what we learnt on. We learnt on these machines. You know, this is what what got us to where we are. So yeah, I would really, I'm itching to give it a bit of a wipe down and maybe see if I can get it running. And then if I get it running, it's after that point, it's what do I do with it? You know, how do I go about upgrading it? Because I had all these wonderful ideas. Get it running. I could put a Hemira on it. Because as you know, Tom's put one on. He's done all the printed the necessary files to put it all on. But if you start putting Hemira on it, and then you think, well, we'll put different lead screws on it because these lead screws were rubbish, and then we'll put different bearings on, and then different heat bed. It's a triggers brush before the end of the day, isn't it? And basically, what you end up with is anything but an A-net. And I don't know how far I want to take it away from what it is, because I can't say I ever regretted getting rid of it. But the funny thing is now I've got it back, I kind of don't want to ruin it. Do you know what I mean? It was the machine that got me into 3D printing. It was all those hours of peeling off all those bits of paper that were on here. In fact, I think if you look very carefully, it's amazing how things come back to you, isn't it? I'm just going to whack it back on close-up cam. Just bear with me. I remember after spending 2 hours, or probably longer, let's just do a quick transition, peeling all this paper off this acrylic. There was one little bit on the inside of there, which is the... Oh, I've got to get the angles right. There you go. Look, you see that bit? It's actually still on because I got so peed off with trying to get that bit off. I'd peeled every single square inch of this horrible paper tape off, and that one bit just didn't want to play. So that's how that's one way how I knew it was my machine. If it hadn't been for the fact that it's got this extra screen on the top, the only way I could have told you was that I remember that bit of paper on there that just I lost my rag. I must have spent, it almost took me, anybody that's owned one of these will know, it must have taken me almost as long to peel the paper off it as it did to actually build the machine. It took hours, and putting those stupid little square nuts in. Oh, the hours and hours and hours of putting those square nuts in and them falling out, and how do you hold them in, and everybody came up, devised different ways of doing it, and then you ran out of square nuts. I can see I ran out of square nuts on this. So you started using normal nuts that didn't really work, and they fell out. Oh. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether I should, like you say, I could do an AM Nate scratch build, but am I going to end up with something that there are no original parts on it by the time I finished? Or do I put it back together, clean it, maybe get some bearings just for that bed because I know they are shot, and try and keep it as original and as manky. I mean, I don't know where I'm going to put it because I've really got no room. But it's, I don't know where it's been living. I think it's been living, I don't know where it's been living, in somebody's garage. I'll show you some of the interesting things that it comes with. Oh, that's me pulling that. Just go back to there. And we'll do that. It's, yeah, it's a bit manky. Can you see that? Look, it's been a bit hard done to. It's not had good old micro switches. Why did we ever stop using micro switches? But yeah, the wiring, I mean, I've got to hold my hands up. This wiring is down to me. I don't think it's been altered. But that there, that orange there and that orange and white there, which isn't even tight in, I will guarantee you that is telephone cable. Absolutely guarantee you 100% that is telephone wire. And I've no idea where it goes. I think that's for the heat bed thermistor. It is, because it runs up to there. Yeah, which goes onto the smart switch. So yeah, I was using bell wire. Not only was I using bell wire, I was using bell wire that I'd actually, you can't see that, but I'd cut through the outer sheathing there. But it didn't bother me. And look at all this lot just rammed into here. There's two lots of terminals scrammed onto there somehow. So yeah, interesting setup. I'm not sure that I've got all the cables actually. Oh no, that's a J3, isn't it? That's the LCD one, so I just need that one there with this. Now that, I seem to remember, was something to do with that when the printer was running, the LCD would sort of flicker and pixelate and sort of generally naff up because it was getting interference. So they did something, putting that on apparently used to stop the interference. But this, you see, this cable's seen better times. Don't quite know what's been going on there. Focus. There we go. Not quite sure what's gone on there. We seem to have had a break in a cable which has been pasted together. Oh, thanks for popping in, fella. Appreciate that, mate. I know you've got the in-laws round, so yeah, cheers for that, buddy. Yeah, you too. Have a great Christmas, and I'm sure we'll speak in the new year, mate. So yeah, that appears to be an interesting repair on that. We might have to dig a bit deeper into that to see quite what's been going on there. I think it's a repair. It seems to have a bit of black tape around it there, and then a very dodgy looking cable, yeah. But yeah, the ferrite core, you're absolutely right, Michael. And I believe that was supposed to stop the screen from flickering, because it was well known for it. Well known for it. There's no SD card in it, which is a bit sad. It would have been nice to see what I tried to print on it, because there's the micro SD card slot there, look. But no SD card in it, so I've got to try and remember all this stuff again, haven't I? Yeah. But it's, yeah, it is what it is, really. Dear me. Yeah, it's... So that's what's going to be happening, hopefully, in the new year, if I can don't lose the will to live in the meantime. Just turn that back around so it's back on me, because I'm important, and then we'll do that. So yeah, that's something to do. So I've got the Ender 3 Pro to sort out when the new board comes, which hopefully we'll be seeing. We might see it sometime between Christmas and New Year. There's a few days where it might appear. And then the next thing will be, I'll make a start on this. I would love to just bang it together without even cleaning it and see if I can get it to fire up and see if I can get a print out of it. That would be hilarious. I doubt I'll be able to do it, but if I feel the need and I get it put together sometime between now and New Year, if I've had the time, I might even sort of either do a quick video or bang the stream up and go, guys, I'm going to set it on fire. Just see what happens. So I've got my desk all dirty. Andrew, you know that nice desk you paid for? This lovely table. You appear to have knackered it. Used to have to relevel it every print, Michael. Every single print. You know, you're absolutely right. You forget things like that. And with the bed leveling knobs that are on here, getting it level was interesting. But like I say, there appears to be a mounting bracket for a BL Touch. So whether, I mean, I don't know what firmware's on it now. I know it had Skynet on it, because that's how I got to know Pete and Tim and the rest of the guys, was through getting Skynet onto it. Ooh, listen. That is not good. Not good at all. But yeah, I mean, I can see that. I don't know whether you can see that, but that bed is clearly warped from here. There's obviously a lot too much tension on these screws, and that aluminium is going right up there and then coming right back down again there. I might actually just relieve the tension off there. The wing nuts falling off our way. Yeah, you see, it's coming back to us all, isn't it? Yeah, the wing nuts that used to vibrate themselves off, basically, didn't they? Yeah, you'd get a print going, and then you'd hear a funny rattle as the bed was moving backwards and forwards, and it was, what's that rattle? What's going on there? And then the next thing you know, damn thing dropped to pieces on you. Yeah, many a failed print, but I have to say, I did get one or two fairly good prints out of it, which blew my mind. Absolutely blew my mind, but it got me into 3D printing. You know, if it hadn't have been for this machine, I've just noticed something else on it as well, which is something I think I put on. I can't honestly remember. I think it probably was me. But there is a mount there for a webcam, or the ends of a mount there for a webcam. If you look, see that horrible bit of plastic ripped up and falling off there? That is the remains of a webcam mount. Lord Shax, do I have kids? I have a 16-year-old daughter. And before you ask, no, she's not into 3D printing. She likes prints, she likes what I produce, but she doesn't. She's got no interest in it at all. I tried to buy printers and goodness knows what else, but no, she likes the finished product. She's into all the Marvel movies and stuff like that, so she likes it when I print her stuff out. And she was heavily into God, what's that? Overwatch. She used to play that a lot. In fact, I think she still does. So I used to print her a load of Overwatch stuff out. I'm trying to undo that, and the screw's turning at the other end. Yeah, I suppose it's got some play in it. YouTube admin. Interesting. Hello, we have received many reports targeted towards your channel. We have started to roll out many YouTube admins to manually receive these reports because of our faulty bots. Is everything okay? Is everything okay, guys? Are we okay? YouTube admin number 7. I think we're fine, thank you, YouTube admin number 7. I wouldn't worry. We're not here to take over. We're here to drink. The Land Rover build. You haven't seen it, have you? Well, now there's a thing. You've not been watching, have you? Let me just disappear for a moment. Do you mean that? I know, Andrew. There aren't many people that break YouTube, are there? Clearly, I'm one of them. Fantastic. Is everything okay? It's a very good question. I don't think it is. Right, there we go. Let's have a quick look around this then. We might as well, seeing as we're here. You tell him, Andrew. It's probably Tim trying to be a clever bugger. It wouldn't surprise me. So, yeah. Happy holidays, YouTube. I appreciate that. If you want to subscribe, or if you want to leave a donation, YouTube, by all means do. Streamlabs is in my description, so if you feel like sharing your billions with me, that would be great. I'd appreciate that. Yeah, no, it's come out really, really well. I put some photos on Twitter, actually, of it sat on the bonnet of my Land Rover, and the colour is good. The colour is really good. A bit of an advert there for Rushmere 3D, who very kindly gave me the filament to do that, which is the Candy Apple Red from Filamentum. As you can see, it's been playing. I tell you what I have done now. I'm starting to think about printing some more. But the first thing I did was I got a roll of silver silk from Eson. So I've reprinted the wheels in silver silk. So rather than being the sort of gunmetal grey, I've got them in a silver silk, which is actually a lot nearer the colour that mine are. Mine are more of that sort of shiny colour. And then when I'd got those done, you can't see, can you? Let me just do, if I did that, that would help, wouldn't it? Right, so that's the, move this bit rubbish out of the way. So that's the wheels I printed, and then that is this silver silk, which I think is nearer mine, and I really wanted it to try and look like mine did. So yeah, I printed those. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. If you can't give me any of YouTube's money, maybe you could just give me some of your own. I mean, you know, you're an American, you're absolutely loaded compared to us poor English. Anyway, back to what we were talking about. I then thought I quite like the look of a standard white Land Rover rim, which is what that one is. So you go back to standard, but then if you're going back to standard, you want to do a standard colour body. I know, it's amazing, isn't it? So it would then mean I've got to print a whole new body, so I can put some standard wheels on it. But I might even go down that route and just do another one. If I do that and get the brightness, but that's like a cream, which is the standard wheel colour that came when you got standard Land Rovers, and that's a standard wheel setup. Skolder, good evening. So not only have we got Skolder in the room, you know, we've also got YouTube admin number 7 in the room, which is a fantastic thing. A fantastic thing. I'm well impressed with that. So yeah, it's whether I go down the lines of actually doing a whole other print, which I'm kind of tempted to do. But we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I'm a bit sort of freaked out by that. YouTube admin number 7. Yeah, welcome, John. Subscribe anyway, because I need every subscriber I can get. Whether you can't afford give me YouTube's money, subscribing is fine. Scaldy, you've missed something. You've missed the great unveil. I could suggest that you went back and watched it, but in fact, I do. Thanks for the great suggestion. You'll be sending a gift package to the home address listed on your credit card. I'm sure you will. Yeah, I'm sure you will. The home address listed on my credit card. Yeah, righto. Do you know, sometimes. So, yeah, that's pretty much where we're at, guys. I'm just destroying my floor now. So, yeah, that's the new year for me. Isn't that? That's just going to be played with. That's really going to be played with. I should take it out more often than I do. It weighs a flaming ton. In fact, it's still switched on. That's never good. I'll turn that off. Yeah, it's this little baby. This is going to be the new year. The new year. FDL3 Blaster. Cool. Yeah, no. So we just had a 3D make a noob moment when my mic went off. Interesting. Scolder, is that an AA? Scolder, that is my original AA. It's come back to me. It has been returned. Came back yesterday in all its glory. So yes, I have my original A8 back. In somewhat of a mess, requiring a fair amount of rebuilding. It needs a lot of work. But we will rebuild it. We have that technology. African man, hopefully the mic is back on now. It was just literally, yeah, unfortunately my battery went flat. Typical. I've not used this, it's a SteelSeries headset and I've not used it for a while. Bin it? How dare you, Scaldy, you swine! No, I'm not, I'm going to rebuild it. I kind of ruined the day I ever got rid of it. I didn't realise I'd fallen in love with it until it came back. But it is back. No, you see, because it's safe, because it's got all the extras. You clearly missed that bit. I'm going to try and get some power into this headphone. If you just bear with me, because I don't want to disappear again. So I'm going to try and get some USB power into here so I can continue waffling at you all. We'll just continue as we are for now. I'm literally holding the mic in my hand. Oh my goodness, some people think they're funny, don't they? There we go. So yeah, Scaldy, you won't have seen it. Sorry, getting sidetracked, holding a microphone in one hand while turning an old A8 round with the other. It is completely bomb-proof, fire-safe, and everything else because it has that board on the top. That is a smart switch by XY-Gax. It's a version 1.01. It had a smoke sensor. It had about 4 or 5 different thermal sensors on it, which meant it took control of the machine. So if it ever thought it was catching fire, that would save it. Yeah, I know, it's amazing, isn't it? Right, let me sort this microphone out because this is a little bit of a nightmare at the moment. Having to hold it in my hand is not really what I was planning on doing. Talk amongst yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to end the stream shortly anyway because yeah, not being able to have you guys talk to me kind of sort of ruins the whole point of this. This was supposed to be a nice informal chat between us and the sharing of some drinkies and just, you know, a thoroughly nice time. But unfortunately, because I couldn't get Discord to work because I'm a muppet, yeah, it's all gone a bit by the wayside really, which is a bit sad. But you know, if the thing was working properly, it would be 3D Maker Noob stream and not mine. Bless him. I hope you all did watch the stream he did the other night. That was fantastic. It was last night, wasn't it? Really good stream. Very comical. If you haven't seen it, you need to just tune in for the last 10 minutes when he announces who won the Prusa Mini, because that was YouTube gold. It absolutely was YouTube gold. If you haven't seen that, get on there, get that last 10 minutes watched. I was in bits, everybody was in pieces. It was just so funny. one of those cases of you couldn't write it, you know, you really couldn't. Pull that out of there. Right, I'm going to attempt to steal some power now. Just bear with me, I might go off for a second. Right, hopefully you can still hear me. It would be nice. Yeah, no, yeah, Joe and I. In fact, I nearly wore his T-shirt this evening just in gratitude to him for yesterday, because yesterday was hilarious. I've lost my antlers. That's no good. But no, classic night last night. Made a lot of money for charity, a charity which is very close to his heart. I'm very fortunate that cancer hasn't touched my immediate family in any way yet. It has touched some friends of mine, but it hasn't touched me personally. So I'm very, very lucky. But yeah, it was lovely that we made some money for him last night. And the guys from Railcore were just phenomenal. Really, really, really decent guys. And no, it was a good night. It was a good laugh. Find it, restore it. Good evening and Merry Christmas. If you haven't got a drink in your hand, get a drink in your hand. It's Christmas Eve. Everybody needs a drink on Christmas Eve. Just have a little bit more. This is the second bottle of port, I hasten to add. We opened one of these last night, and me and the missus says, "Oh, do you know what? We'll just have a couple of ports in front of the fire." We had the fire lit, and it was nice, and turned all the lights out. We had the nice glowy coal fire with the wood on and stuff. And we'll just have a bit of port. We finished the bottle off, which was a bit naff. So yeah, I've had to open one of the other ones. We've only got another one left after this. We've got plenty of other things, but oh dear, my antlers are all to cock. You see, again, I was going to wear my Christmas hat tonight, but then Joe wore it his last night, so I thought, don't want to stand on the shoulder of giants, do I? So, the question is what are your plans for the next 12 months? What do you think is going to be the big thing in 3D printing next year? You know, what's going to be the next major, I mean, not necessarily breakthrough, because I think big breakthroughs are a long way off, but what's going to be the next big seller? Are we going to move away from the i3 Cartesian style printers to something else? Is the race for the bottom going to continue to try and get cheaper and cheaper machines, or are companies going to try and do more to make the machines better, let's say, out of the box? Because I see a trend towards better quality. I'm hoping we see a trend towards better quality. I'm hoping the race to the bottom is over, and now companies are going to try a lot harder to I'm beeping again. To actually put some quality stuff out there, because I think that's the important thing, is that we have quality machines that work better out the box, that need less tweaking. Yeah, I mean, personally, I think the next 12 months you're going to see a bigger step into Core XY machines. I think that's going to be something that this next year they're going to come more to the forefront, because you've got your three main types, haven't you? You've got the sort of Cartesian i3 style, you've got your Delta style, and then you've got the Core XY. Wow, dude! Bless you. Thank you very much. That's very, very kind of you. And look, my little thing worked as well. I think that's the first time I've ever seen that work. Hey! Oh, now look what you've done. I've got overexcited and my antlers have gone. I appreciate that, bud. That's really, really kind of you. Thank you very much indeed. I might put that towards some bearings for the A-net or something. Canadian Maker, good evening. Great to have you aboard. I am going to lose this in a minute. I am struggling. We might have to swap mics. Yeah, you see, I like the idea of interchangeable tool heads, but as Joe says, 3D Maker Noob says, it stops being a 3D printer. You know, it becomes something different, doesn't it? You'll be building a Voron. Yeah. I honestly think appreciate that, Scott. I don't know where I'm going to go with it yet. I want to just get it put back together again and smell the burning dust and oil as I power it up. I think, like I say, before I was so rudely interrupted by that wonderful donation, I think sort of the three main styles, and I think Delta sort of came and went. I really don't think they ever got a big share of the market. I know I personally don't think I couldn't get on with Deltas. Really couldn't get on with Deltas. I think it was me more than the machine. The i3 Core XY, the i3 Cartesian style, I got how it worked. I got how to make it work. But Deltas, just for some reason, I looked at a Delta and just thought to myself, well, it's great for printing vases, and that was kind of all I could get from it. So yeah, it just didn't sort of, it didn't gel with me. But Core XYs, I will have a Core XY next year, one way or another. I will have one next year. Find it, restore it. Thank you very much. That's awfully kind of you for subscribing. I do appreciate it. That every single subscriber counts, because every single subscriber means that I just, I'm getting out there a bit more, which is great. I only have what Delta. Alright, cheers Scott. Thanks so much for joining, mate. Do appreciate it. I hope you have a lovely day tomorrow and the kids don't get too hyper. Yeah, I'll speak to you over the next couple of days. Love to the missus, love to the kids. Hope you have a great day tomorrow. And yeah, try and get a sleep in afternoon, mate, because you know what they're like. They'll run you ragged. So I'm just reading the comments. Vertbreaker, take that comment from Andrew as a nice thing, because that's how it was meant. Yeah, I've been watching all your stuff actually, Vertbreaker. It's the kind of stuff I like to watch when I'm trying to just sort of get my head around something, because a lot of the time the stuff you do is the stuff I do in my own quiet time. So to see somebody else doing that is brilliant. I mean, you're so much further advanced than I am, mate. It's unbelievable. In fact, if anybody is in the channel still, including Scott, who doesn't subscribe to Vertebreakers, I suggest you go and have a look at what he's doing. He's got a very methodical approach to tweaking firmware. Is that a way of describing it, Vertebreaker? I mean, you will describe it better than me, but he's certainly got a lot more patience than I have. He certainly does a lot more R&D into stuff and a lot more sort of working things out slowly and methodically. I'm a bull in a china shop, me. But please go and check his channel out. The easy way to do that is just to click on the right hand side of his name. 3 little dots will appear. Go to his channel. Have a look at it. Not now. Not now. You go watch me now. But please do go and have a look. He does some very interesting stuff. He's done an awful lot of work on Marlin 2.0 while nobody else was even sort of looking at it. He kind of, everybody else sort of shunned it and said it wasn't ready and but the guy's been pushing it. He's been doing all the stuff that I would find without having to sound, I would find it tedious, in honesty. It's not how my brain works. It's not the sort of stuff I can do. But the guy doesn't give up. He gets his teeth into something and he keeps going at it until he gets it to work, which is brilliant. Brilliant. That's what we need to see. No, it's a pleasure, mate. Like I say, I am sub to you. And you're quite sporadic with your videos, aren't you? You'll sort of have a little while when we don't see anything from you, and then you get 4 or 5 almost in a day or two of each other, which is good because it means you've got to another step, which is brilliant. So yeah, I am following what you're doing. Oh, dude, cheers, Rob. Appreciate that, mate. It's very kind of you. That's 2 bearings now for the A-net, or another bottle of port. Oh, not quite sure what I'm going to do. Decisions. And look, it's working. It's working. Brilliant, that. Thanks, Magic 3D Printing. By all means, subscribe now, but don't go and watch his videos now. Stay with me for a little bit longer. But yeah, very interesting stuff he does. Like I say, far more technical than I could ever be, but he's clearly got the right brain for doing it. But that's the thing about 3D printing. That's the thing about the community of it, isn't it? Is that there are people that brains work the way that they can do the coding, and they can work with Marlin and they can make stuff work. Yeah, well, you see, that's how I got into him, Andrew. Is in the days when I had the JTEX, when I had the A10 and the A10M and the A20M and the A30. I think was it the A30 you started with? I can't remember. Was it Vertebraker? Were you trying to get Marlin working on the A30? Is that when I first saw you? I can't remember, or whether it was a little bit later and you were trying to get 1.1.9 working on the A10. It was something like that. I've just had a feeling you had something to do with the A30s, because I know that was a big thing, was trying to get Marlin working on those boards. I don't think anybody ever managed to get it to work, not significantly well. But like I say, this is the thing about our community. There are people like me dude, hats off to you. We need to worship you if you've got it working. But like I say, I think that's where I remember the first seeing you. The community, we have people like me who can set up a printer, can use a printer, can print pretty things, and can talk rubbish on YouTube channels. We have people like Tom Filament Frenzy, who is fantastically good at setting up profiles and can do that kind of stuff. We have people like Andrew who build printers and design their own printers and have the ability to do stuff like that. And then we have people like Vertebraker who are brilliant at doing the code and getting Marlin working and getting Linear Advance working for people and stuff like that, and pushing the boundaries. And that's what makes us brilliant, is that we all have our own little niches that we're brilliant at, but we all come together and, you know, build what we have, build the community that we have, and have the backup for each other. You know, it doesn't matter what Facebook forum you go on. I mean, I know a lot of the time you get the same people asking the same questions and the same problems, but as much as sometimes we think, do you know, I'm sick of telling you this, we still do it. We still talk people through it. We still try and help people out. And that's what it is. That's the big thing about 3D printing. I've spoken to a lot of people in the past. I don't know whether any of you remember a guy called Mike Wiley. Unfortunately, he passed away beginning of this year, or towards the beginning of this year. A great bloke. He used to do a stream just about every morning. He had health issues which stopped him from working. He found 3D printing and he just got so into it on such a level that he would help anybody with anything. He was really that kind of guy. Just an absolutely solid bloke, and you could go on his channel and bless him, he would help anybody. I mean, he couldn't cut glass to save his life. He couldn't cut mirror. If his channel is still up there, it's Wiley's 3D. If you want to see somebody that was just grassroots, he was like an oily mechanic, basically, of the 3D printing world. He had stuff all over. He always worked with a fag hanging out of his mouth. But a real nice guy. Never got the chance to meet him in the flesh, but we chatted a lot. We chatted a lot privately. We chatted a lot publicly. Just a real nice bloke. But he was, you know, just what 3D printing was all about. He found something that gave him direction. You know, it ignited him. He was in a lot of pain a lot of the time. You would find him streaming. Oh my god. Oh! Dude, Magic 3D Printing, appreciate that. Thank you so much. That's really good of you. That's really kind. Thank you. Yeah, it will. It sounds like the ANET's going to get at least a polish, and maybe a bit of squirt of WD-40 at this rate. Yeah, Mike used to be in a lot of pain, so didn't sleep a lot. So you would go on. You go on YouTube any time of day and night, and the guy would be streaming. He would just still be there with a fag hanging out of his mouth, prattling about with one of his printers, just trying to get it working. He was just, yeah, you're right. He was a cool dude. He was everybody's friend, and just, yeah, he was a great bloke. But like I say, he was in essence what 3D printing is all about. And there are a lot of people out there. I speak to an awful lot of people. That's 3 pairings paid for. Yay! There are an awful lot of people out there that 3D printing for them has opened up a whole new world. This is going to go off again in a minute. This is getting silly. I'll have to change mics, guys. Yeah, it's changed a lot of people's lives. A lot of people. It's a community thing. It's 3D printing, and I think that's partially because there's always something going wrong. So you always need to talk to somebody to try and sort your problems out. But it means you do talk to people. It doesn't matter, you know, your colour, your creed, whether you're, you know, 17 or 70, whether you're able-bodied or you've got a disability. It just doesn't matter. It just all, you know, all boundaries, all differences just don't matter in 3D printing, because it doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, how much money you've got, you know, your standard of living, anything. It's an ultimate leveler. An ultimate leveler. Dude! Haha! I appreciate that, man. Thank you so much. That is so kind of you. This is getting a bit silly, guys. I certainly wasn't expecting this when I came on this evening. Matt, good evening, mate. Jake from State Farm in the house. Nice to have you. That means Tim must have upset him. Ah, Jake, Matt. It's good to have you. Good to have you indeed. You see, it is what it is all about, isn't it? It is what it is all about. It's just people coming together, helping each other, and just producing stuff that generally you never do anything with. I mean, hands up everybody that's got room full of 3D prints that nobody will ever see. You know, that you print something, you take it inside, you show the wife, you show the children, you take a photograph of it, you put it on Instagram or on Twitter or on Facebook, you then put it up on the shelf and it sits there. And the fact that it's up there or over there isn't the important thing. It's the fact that you've done it, and it's the pleasure that you get out of it when that print finishes and the layer lines are good, and there's no stringing, and there's no loops and lack of cooling. And for 5 minutes, 10 minutes, a week, a month, you look at that thing with pride, and then it starts gathering dust because you're on to the next thing. You've seen something else on Thingiverse or something else that just takes you away from it all, doesn't it? What's next to pay for on this all on the A8, Matt? What's next to pay for? Well, after bearings, I don't think it needs a lot else, does it? I don't know. Don't know where to go. Should we put a new control board on it? You know, should we? I don't know. I don't know where to go with it. Let's get it working first. Let's see if we can actually get it. We'll get a print out of it. Hey, that's the thing. We're going to get a print out of it, and once we've got a print out of it, we'll decide where we're going to go from there. Andrew, I think we're all the same, mate. I really do. I look around me, and I know the amount of things I've thrown away. You just have to have a purge every now and again. And every time you have a purge, you think to yourself, somebody needs to design a way of reusing this filament. Because you think, if I could mash this up into pellets, melt it down, make more filament, and print something else, it would be so much better. Printed a Nintendo light switch covers today, so I could joke gift them. Nice one. Are you going to pack it with something so it feels heavier? You know, like we used to do. We used to wrap an old tin of Quality Street in the days when a tin of Quality Street weighed something. We used to wrap a brick up in a tin from last year and give it to somebody. Like, oh, I got a tin of Quality Street, man. Fantastic, great sweets. And then they'd open it up and they'd be... Yeah, exactly, Andrew. That's what we need, because we all do it. We make them. We look at them. We put them on the shelves. We cut them up. Well, we don't. We chuck them in the bin. And it sickens you when you're chucking them away. You just think, I could just cut little pieces, melt it, make another one. Even if you end up making a horrible grey, nasty filament because it's all different colours, it wouldn't matter, because you could spray it, or they could be... My head's going again. We could use it for parts for something else, you know. Right, I tell you, I have one print. Well, I've got 2 or 3 actually, which I've kept. I have a print of my head which I've kept, but I have one print that I am so proud of. I will never, ever, 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 ever get rid of. It's just over here. Hang on. Oh, I'm beeping again. Oh. I've got the plans and cut templates, but no plasma cutter anymore. Yeah, you see, I always wanted a plasma cutter. I'll stop myself from buying one at least twice. Right, my one print. This is the one print I will never, ever, ever get rid of. I hope every single person watching this knows what that is. Because if you don't know what that is, it's not perfect. Believe you me, it's not perfect. The back is not brilliant. I mean, I might try reprinting it one day. But that is my print of prints. Yes, Michael, you're absolutely right. Absolutely right. Yeah, that is the one print I will never, ever get rid of. Canadian Project Maker. Any other plans excluding ANET you got planned to work on? I don't know. There is so much I would like to do, but I have to try and sort of rein myself in because I am one of these people that will start about 5 different things and get nothing finished. Print the redhead. Who's to say I haven't printed her already? No chance of that. Oh, hang on. Sorry, losing my mic again. It is out there, Andrew. Yes, you can actually get the key. I did find it a while ago. Somebody has actually got the STL for the key, which is the right size for that. So I could glue it on the end. Yeah, other projects. I don't know. I want to do another Land Rover. I want a Core XY machine. I want a lot, really. I want to get the ANET going now it's returned home. A boat? Well, yeah. I mean, I used to live by a lot of water and by the sea. So maybe a boat. I saw somebody with a tank the other day and that looked really cool. And then I started looking at things like excavators or bulldozers or something like that might be quite a cool project. Something along those lines. I'd quite like the idea of a bulldozer because it's not overly complicated. It's not like if you do, for instance, if you were to do a JCB, you've got the front bucket and then you've got the rear arm, and there's an awful lot to do there. But if you go for a bulldozer, you've literally got a blade that goes up and down, and then your 2 tracks. So that could be quite good, and you get a nice sort of decent yellow filament. So you could get one that looks like a cat. That might be quite cool. There's lots of things, lots and lots and lots of things. I don't necessarily go for the overly practical stuff. I don't make toilet roll holders or stuff like that. I prefer the sort of slightly off the wall stuff. Sec kit is a cheaper version of the Railcore build. Yeah, I could do with somebody actually finding me a link for that. And I need to price it up and actually see what it's going to cost me. Because it might be doable this next year. But then again, you see, as terrible as it is a lot of the stuff I go to do on my 3D printers, I'm always thinking to myself, is there a video in it? And it's a completely wrong way round of looking at stuff, I know. But I do keep thinking, is there a video in it? Could I record this and then show other people it and rather than just doing stuff for the sake of doing it. And I do wonder, building printers, whether that's incredibly boring for people. That's the thing. Andrew, if you can chuck us a link in the stream, I'll have a look, because I mean I don't even know where to start with it. But do you know, this port is going down fairly well. We are getting on for over a third of the way through the bottle. I'm going to have to start being careful what I say now. I may get me merds waddled up if I'm not careful. But yeah, it might be a way to go. I mean, railcar. I mean, we'd all love a railcar, wouldn't we? There isn't a single person out there that wouldn't want one. If we could afford it and we could justify it, we'd all have one. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. It's like the Hermeras, or the Hermeses as mine are, because I got one of the early ones. It's the thrill of the chase with something like that. It's something new, and I can afford it, and I'm going to get it, and then you get it, and you put it on a machine, and it prints really well, but then it's done. You know, you've done it. It's there. It's working, and it kind of sort of floats back into obscurity. I mean, bless them. So many people want these hot ends, these Hermeras, and they are brilliant. They are absolutely stunning. But once you've fitted it and it's printing well, it's kind of like, what's the next thing? You know, personally for me, it's not about churning out print after print after print after print. It's about the altering of stuff, and it's about the next big thing and the next best thing. And the horrible thing about that is I'm not practicing what I preach, because I always say to people, when you buy a 3D printer, see, this is many of you, many of you 18 that are sat here listening to me waffle know this about me. My mantra is buy the machine, build the machine, print with the machine before you do a single upgrade. Before you do anything, get it running. For goodness sake, print some stuff with it. You know, get some stuff going. Understand how the machine works, bog standard. The amount of people I see, I mean, it was very, very prevalent with the Ender 3, that people would order the Ender 3, and before the Ender 3 arrived, they're on every forum. What should I print when I get it? What upgrade should I print for it when I get it? What stuff should I buy from AliExpress to make it better? And I can't emphasize enough the importance in my mind that when you buy a printer, you build that printer and you use that printer as it came from the company. Because the alterations that people make to printers are done because their printer doesn't work. And out of the box, their printer might have an issue that needs something altering to make it work, and your printer might work perfectly well. And you might be making more work for yourself when you don't need to. So get the machine, build it as you're instructed to build it. I mean, follow YouTube videos about builds. I mean, I know Nerys, Ender 3 wise, did an awful lot of work with making sure the frame was square, and did an awful lot of good stuff on that. But that's what you need to, that in my opinion, is that's what you need to do when you buy a printer, is build it, print with it, and then see if you need to alter anything. Then see if you need to do these upgrades. Because majority of cases, I think people do upgrades before they've ever printed anything with the machine, and half the time they don't need it. Yeah, and in fairness, maybe a glass plate was necessary, but you don't know that until you try printing with it. You know, you spent that money on a glass plate, and your machine might have turned up, and your bed might have been completely flat, and it might have worked perfectly well, and then you've bought the glass plate for nothing. I have gotten to use TMC drivers, I can't stand the A4890. Well, you see, this is another thing. I jumped on the bandwagon of the 2208s. I mean, I've got probably 8 in a box down there, brand new ones, never used them because they were cheap at the time. I'm trying to think who it was that was selling them off cheap, but somebody was. But some people actually like the noise of a printer. Some people actually enjoy it. And again, it is, I think it's maybe, it depends on where your printer is. If you have a printer that's in a house, in an environment where there are other people. Thomas, good evening, my friend. Glad to have you back. If you're in an environment where your printer is where other people are and it's inside your house and you have your family there and they don't want to hear that noise, they don't want to hear the whining, then fine, make it as quiet as you can make it. But if you have a dedicated makerspace or a shed like I'm in, that there is only you, and there is only you to worry about, why make it silent? It's not necessary. Again, it's let's make it as quiet as we possibly can. Let's we'll put these whisper fans on, and they put these quiet nocturne fans on or anything like that, and they're not efficient enough. They don't push enough air out, so your parts don't cool properly, or your heat break doesn't cool properly, and you get heat creep, and your parts don't cool properly, and you've got loops on the bottom of the stuff because you're trying to make it quieter and quieter, and you're undervolting the fans just to make it quieter. It doesn't matter if it's noisy. If it's not in your house, if it's not in your bedroom, if it's not in the front room next to the telly annoying the family, there isn't necessarily a point to do it. So Thomas has been out, has he? He's been having a little drink or two, has he? Yeah, Michael, I totally get it. I totally understand it. But you might be missing a trick. You might be missing a trick, because if you turn around to her and say, I can't make these printers any quieter, what I need is a room or a shed to put them in where I can get them away from you, darling. I don't drink either. I think it's a terrible thing. Have I spoken enough? Have I hurt everybody's ear enough? We've been on an hour and 44 minutes and I thought we were only going to be on 10. So yeah, that's where we're going next year. We're going down the is the Ender3 a good printer to start with? Yes, absolutely. I have one, like I say, up there that the motherboard's died on. Brewed orange whiskey. Stop it, Andrew. It is a very good machine. I was plotting about. I have an Amazon affiliates page, and I was thinking today what to put on it, and I have put a standard Ender 3 on, and I still think for under the £200 mark, the Ender 3 cannot be beaten for a printer. They absolutely nailed it, did Creality, with that machine. The Ender 3 Pro is Banggood sent me one, which is the one that's up there. They sent it for review. Out of the box, it's easy to put together. It's quiet. It prints well. The magnetic bed is okay. It's not the best thing in the world. But it's, for a first machine, and you could do an awful lot worse than an Ender 3 Pro. It depends on how much money you've got. I mean, if you can afford to spend a little bit more, I would suggest maybe looking at an Artillery Genius, because I've got one of those and I love it. Derek, you've made it home in one piece. Well done, mate. But no, an Ender 3 or an Ender 3 Pro are a very, very good starters machine. They are the machine that everybody else copies. At the end of the day, every other company that's out there, they are trying to do what Creality did with the Ender 3. And the Ender 3 Pro is basically, Creality took the feedback on board that they got from all the customers that bought an Ender 3, and they put them all into the Ender 3 Pro. So it's got all the improvements that everybody wanted. Like I say, the magnetic build service isn't the best, but apart from that, the issue with it is, I'll be honest with you, it's fine for what it is, but it's the way the magnets are set up that trying to get the bed to sit, the build surface to drop properly onto the bed is difficult because of the way they've got the magnets. If you get it slightly wrong, the poles don't line up properly and it sort of pushes it one way or another, and it is quite difficult. What I've actually done, I got a build surface from Tim Hoogland, and that is like a copy of I say a copy, I shouldn't say that really, should I? It's like you get on your Prussias. He picks his one up off his bear. So it's like that, which is just a steel sheet, which has got, I mean, this is one of the older ones, so it's just got the PEI coating on it. But that sits on the bed of the Ender and doesn't jump about because there aren't any magnets in that. That's just a sheet of steel. Whereas the bed that the Creality provide, both the actual sticky surface on the bed and the removable top sheet have got magnets in. So they, you try to put two poles the same together, they sort of push one way or the other. Well, that's what the bed does. So what I've actually done is I've put Tim's build surface just on top of the original magnetic bed that was there from Creality, and that works fine. It works without an issue. Sorry, I'm missing things here. So I'm just reading stuff. Homemade brandy. Oh dear me. Behave. Big frig. Well, basically, yeah, that is basically what they are, and they're not the best. But nothing that you can't overcome. But the actual physical machine itself, apart from the fact I managed to, well, I don't think I fried my board. I think my board just fried. But no, standard Ender 3 is a good machine, but a little noisy. And Ender 3 Pro is definitely a step up, and for not a lot more money. Beyond that, I know Nerys loves the Ender 5. I haven't got an Ender 5. I wouldn't mind an Ender 5, but I wouldn't buy one. The reason why I wouldn't buy one is that it's not a great deal different from an Ender 3. It's not a true Core XY printer, and if I'm going for that kind of size of printer, I would want to go for Core XY, because I've just got a thing about Core XY printers. I haven't got one, but I've got a thing about them. The easy way to get it through customs, have it in your belly. It might not be very nice to taste the second time, but it'd be alright to get it through customs. Yeah, well, boards are moving very, very quickly. The technology is moving forward incredibly quickly, and like you say, they are very, very cheap. Um, there are some good boards out there for the money. I think some of the big tree board, yeah, some of the better Chinese boards are good. Big tree tech stuff is good. There are some dodgier ones out there, but I'm reading the track again, but he's going in way. I'm gonna have to move him. There we go. Moved him out of the way. Brandy or whiskey? More of a brandy fan. I think I had too much whiskey as a child, and it caused some issues. I have two things I can't drink: whiskey and cider. Both because I drank them to excess as a youth, which means now that my body thinks they're a poison. So I get a smell of whiskey or a smell of cider, and my brain goes, poison, poison, get away, get away. So yeah, I can't drink them anymore, unfortunately. Marlin 2.0, no, I haven't tried it yet. I will be putting it on the Ender 3 Pro when I get the SKR board. It will be going full 2.0. Quite what the difference will be, I don't know, but we'll see. 3D print Viking Thomas. Yeah, I love the Corex Y2. Got one and another one on the way. What one have you got, Thomas, and what one have you got on the way? I'm interested. I want to know. Yeah, exactly, Andrew. Does the same thing to me, but because I had too much of it as a child. Too many nights throwing up 3 litres of Merrydown cider. It sort of put me off it. Ender 3, built right. What a bargain. Print's better than my Prussian 2.5 and is a lot quieter than the 1.1.5 mod. Well, exactly. Which is why I say, people knock reality, but they got it right, didn't they? They got it absolutely right with that machine. Absolutely right. We will get Matt the Strongbow. No, don't do it. Don't do it. Another one, Steve, that I thought was going to get me was Pernod. Oh dear. Used to drink a lot of Pernod. But I can still drink it, fortunately, which is nice. But yeah, no, I think your body is an amazing tool. Your brain is brilliant. I think it realises that the 11th time that you've drunk cider and you've thrown up 4 hours later, I think your body realises that it's probably not the right thing for you. Cool, excellent. I shall look forward to seeing that. I was White Lightning. Now you see that was a bit late on for me. I'd moved on from that stage. White Lightning sort of came out when the youth were drinking White Lightning. I was on a drink called Thunderbird. I was drinking Red Label Thunderbird, which was it's a kind of fortified wine, I suppose. But it was stunning stuff. Was that stunning stuff? I was in line for Banggood sending me a Sapphire Pro, but at the last minute they bottled it. They, according to the guy that I deal with, who's a real nice guy called Thomas, surprisingly, a real nice bloke. He said that because it was coming towards their year end, they were sort of clamping down on what they were offering out for review to people like me who are small channels and don't give them a great deal of income. In fact, my Banggood affiliate is probably made them no money at all. So all of a sudden, my threshold for what I'm allowed to spend through Banggood to get free stuff to look at for you guys has dropped quite considerably. So my ability to get printers now is basically at an end. Because the amount of money they will allow me to spend on stuff means I either end up with one of those Creality things that look like it's a transformer truck, or the original version of the Prusa Mini. Do you know what I mean? With a sort of single rail and that are about $150, $160, which quite frankly there's not a lot of point of me getting. As I tried to explain to him, and he understands, is that if they don't provide machines that people want to buy for me to review for you or for me to unbox for you, if it's old technology or it's too cheap and nasty, there's no point in them sending them to me, because it's flogging a dead horse. Because my viewers have moved on from bottom of the line machines like that, and if they're not bottom of the line machines, they are going to be machines that aren't worthy of me reviewing. And by that I mean that they're going to be rubbish. And if they're going to be rubbish, I'm not going to lie to you and say buy them. I'm going to say they're rubbish. There's a case in point sat behind me. So I can't just explain to him, that it's kind of false economy stopping what we can have as small YouTubers, because we're not going to be able to sell you on them anyway. There's no way I could get a $160 printer from Banggood, put it on my channel, build it, print with it, and say, go buy it. Because nobody who watches my channel is watching it for that. They want either high-end stuff or mods or cock-ups or old A8s. So it'd be a waste of time. But what I've discussed with him is that the threshold that they've given me for stuff they're willing to send me is not just printers. That threshold covers boards, stepper motors, anything basically 3D printing wise that I think I can actually move them a few units on by doing a review of it, because that's what it's about. It's about me selling an item for them. It's about me doing an advert that from me talking about something they sell more units, and that's all it's about as far as they're concerned. So there are several control boards that I could go for. There are lots of duet copies out there, and I was thinking about a duet Wi-Fi copy of some description, although I don't like going down the road of getting copied stuff. Shouldn't I be sleeping? Not yet, I shouldn't, mate. Have you finished your stream, Tim? That's ridiculous. Or are you still streaming? This is confusing. So yeah, it's more about parts now rather than about full machines. Tim, I've got something to show you. Tim, I've got something to show you. I'm having to hold my finger to my ear so my mic doesn't go off. Timothy. Dude! You did not have to do that. Right, for that I am definitely going to show you this now. You are an absolute star, do you know that? An absolute star. I so appreciate that. Merry Christmas, mate. To you and your good lady, because she puts up with an awful lot. Oh, mic failure. Right, Tim. Rewind nearly 2 hours to the beginning of my video. I got a box given to me yesterday, and in the box was something I haven't seen for in an awful long time. You're going to love this. Remember how we met, and Pete, how we first got to know each other with the old A-nets? Guess what's returned home? There's not a lot left of it, but that is my original A-net A8. It's come back. It is going to be revitalised. It is going to be made to work again. And the best thing about it, Tim, when was the last time you saw one of these? When was the last time you saw a smart switch? I was explaining to people on here that it's got the smoke sensor. Actually had a smoke sensor. I made sure that my A-net didn't catch fire. But yeah, look at that. The old smart switch 1.1. I've never seen another one. I tell you. I mean, it's a bit dusty though. It needs a clean. It really does need a clean. But yeah, the smart switch, mate. You never even got one. Wow. Well, it was Pete that taught me into buying it. Which was probably meant I was just a mug. But yeah, it was Pete that taught me into buying that. It's not a fire hazard. It's fine. I've got the smoke detector on it. And that is an actual proper smoke detector. It's a fantastic little thing. But yeah. So yeah, dude, I've got the... I said earlier, I didn't honestly think I'd missed it. I mean, it's been through about 7 or 8 different people have had it since I had it. But now I've got it back. It's like, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to do too much to it. I want to just sort of get it working again. And just keep it as like almost like a museum piece. I know, Andrew, it's unbelievable. It was in fairness, I'm sure Tim will put me right with this, but the thing was when they produced that, it was almost before they got Marlin properly sorted out on the A8, and before people had worked out thermal runaway and one thing or another, and it was basically all that's up there was, instead of just having thermal runaway set up in Marlin, that's all it did. It just did exactly the same thing. No, Tim, I gave it away. I got a CR10, and when I got the CR10, I just gave it away. And it's done the rounds, and like I say, 8 or 9 people have had it. And it was yesterday. What are we today? We're Sunday, so it was Friday. I just got a phone call saying, "Oh, I've got something for you that I believe you haven't seen for a long time," and they just bought it round. And it was just like, "Oh, this is ace. This is absolutely brilliant." So yeah, I've got my original A8 back, complete with bits of Kapton tape holding it together. I found 2 wires on it which are actually telephone bell wire, which were used for lengthening the thermistor, because the thermistor off the heat bed, because of this board on the top, instead of it going to the A-net board, it had to come all the way up to here. So I cut off 2 pieces of telephone wire, 2 strands of the twisted pairs, and used that to extend it with a couple of really nasty dodgy connectors up here. And I tell you, I really am surprised the place didn't burn down. No, well, this was it. I don't think it had myelin on it, and I think that's why I bought that, was because that was the only way of stopping the thermal runaway and all the hassle that went with it. Um, until Pete and everybody else got the Skynet firmware running on it. And I think, I mean, I haven't turned it on, but I think that's what it's flashed with. I got a feeling it's run with the flash with the Skynet stuff, which would be interesting to see whether it's still actually got that on it or whether they've upgraded it. But yeah. Well, that's not the original power supply. That power supply that's a 30 amp one that's on there. That was something that I changed, and that I'm gonna have to show you, aren't I? Hang on. This is fantastic, is this? I mean, it really does show how awful. I mean, I know I'm fairly bad now, but I was clearly terrible in those days. Look at that quality and control sticker from 2017. Oh, focus. Doesn't want to focus. There we go. So I've not been in there. You would love that power supply. I can just see you ripping that to bits. Can you imagine? Look at that hand, that printed, that cover was printed on this printer. Cable ties holding it on. It is just, this is, but it's history, Tim. This is how we started, mate. You know, this is what set us going. Like I say, look, there's the thermistor, and there's two bits of telephone wire that then run down and go down to the board there. Look, I was showing them the heated bed setup, and that you probably won't have seen this because the board on the top controlled the heat bed and the hot end. That was the setup for the heat bed. And what you used to do, I'm sure you've seen this. Hang on. Oh, don't they just have it easy, mate? I was explaining to them that it took you as long to peel the paper off the acrylic as it did to build the machine. So people talk about strain relief on heat beds and wiring and stuff. Right, so on the heat bed here, you've got two positive terminals, two negative terminals, and I believe the two center terminals were for the thermistor. But when you set this system up, yeah, I'm sure these are car fittings. Those two were your hot end, your plus. Those two were your minus, and then this center one here was your thermistor that went onto the two center pins like that, and that was your heat bed. That was it. That was just what you did. I mean, is there ever any wonder that these things burnt down? I mean, quite frankly, it was just utterly appalling. Utterly, that you would do that. It's just utterly appalling. But we did it, and it worked, and we printed with it, you know. And we printed, and we printed, and we printed. But it's just, oh, I don't want to get rid of it now, though, Tim. We were talking about it, talking about what we're going to do, and these kind people have done some donating tonight. And I know that one of these bearings is gone in this bed. That one down there, look, it's lost some balls out of it. So I am considering going just down the route of literally, let's get the bearings replaced, let's get it built back together, and let's just leave it. You know, let's not do too much to it. Let's not go all metal, you know. Let's try and save it, because it's a bit of my history. Yeah, we've raised money for new ways. Yeah, but Tim's just raised the money for the money for a whole new machine. With what he's just donated, I could almost go out and buy a new AA8. I'm not gonna. I would never buy another one. But I honestly think I want to keep that one. Yeah, but do I want to do it? Do I want to do it? I don't know, Tim. I really don't know, mate. Because, I mean, if I make it an AM8, well, I need to get rid of my beautiful... It's because you want that, don't you? That's what it is. You want that. You need that in your life because that's something I had that you hadn't. God, it's... Oh my God, I've just realised something. Guys, what a noob I must have been, right? What is wrong with this picture? Hang on. Let me get this transition done to my hyper quality camera. What is wrong with this picture? What haven't I done? Utter sacrilege. Yeah, you say you've no use for it. Yeah, no, the plastic's still on. Unbelievable, isn't it? Just look at that. Oh. Yeah. It's like mint in box. Oh, it's like mint in box. Sorry, text message from the missus. Are you back on me now? Thanks for coming in, Tim. Really appreciate that donation. We will talk later. I'll hit you up and we'll talk about what we're going to do with this. In fact, guys, you give me a fiver for it. Get on. You can have that plastic cover, that bit there, for a fiver. In fact, guys, I think, honestly, I'm going to end the stream now because I've been on just over 2 hours and I wasn't expecting to be on that long. I just want to thank you all so much. All of you that have donated this evening. It's really, really kind of you. I really do appreciate it. Tim, thanks very much for bobbing in. We will discuss what we're going to do with this. I will talk to you later, but it certainly won't be tomorrow. Everybody have a absolutely fantastic Christmas. I hope you get everything you want. Lots of pairs of socks and underpants. And all the other crap that comes with it. Try not to kill your children tomorrow. Just, let them have a day. I will speak to you all really soon. Thank you so much for spending the time with me this evening. It's been fun, and look forward to 2020 and all that it brings. And take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and just keep printing and keep helping each other out and keep doing what you're doing and enjoying what you're doing. Because if you're not enjoying it, just stop. That doesn't mean you have to give up the job, Tim. Now, cheers, guys. Take massive amounts of care of each other. Have a wonderful few days now, and might just see you before New Year, but if not, have a great New Year's Eve, and we'll see you in 2020. All right, cheers, guys. Love you all. Thanks, Matt. Cheers. Cheers, Magic 3D Printing. Guys, you've been brilliant. Take care. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.